Welcome back. This is Business Morning on Channels Television. Well, developed economies, Singapore, Japan, Germany, all those countries that we admire, they've been able to use big data to predict the critical aspects of the economy and how best to respond. This, in turn, has guided their policy direction. And just to highlight what are some examples of big data, what they are: transaction processing systems, customer databases to understand customer trend and demands, documents, emails, medical reports, internet click stream, logs, mobile apps, and a whole lot of things. Well, these developed countries have used this information to understand the trend of development, formulate policies, and even project growth trends. So when we hear the IMF, the World Bank predicts growth, mostly they use this data. In Nigeria, are we in the big data era yet? Especially because it's believed that for any impact-focused government, the integration of the big data is a must. Well, we'll have joining us to clear the air on this, Emmanuel Onasami. He's the lead partner, Cardinal Professional Services, is in the studio. Hi, Emmanuel. Good morning.
Thank you, Ini, for having me this morning. Thank you.
So in our last conversation, we were talking about the issue of digital identity, the issue of data. We have the BVN, we have the NIN, and all of that. Are we in the league of the big data yet in Nigeria?
Okay, when it comes to integrating big data into policy development in Nigeria, I think that is an area that Nigeria has a lot to do. I think the first thing I would like to say is that public governance is about resource mobilization and equitable distribution of that resource for social impact, and sustainability. In Nigeria today, I was listening to one of the spokespersons of the current government speaking about the laudable projects that they have done in this government. But if you hear the vibes of the citizens, it appears nothing has happened. So that speaks to the fact that, although you may be going on out, doing things, what makes for impact is the fact that you have insights to what are the most critical things to be done for impact, both in the immediate, in the medium term, and in the long term. So big data is one of the areas that, as an economy, we need to, redefine our focus on so that we can critically impact our citizenry.
Who should be going after this big data? Who should make it available?
So businesses all over the world, even businesses in Nigeria, have identified the value that are resident in data. You typically check your phone because you have said something on Google. You open the Jumia app, you see an ad coming to you because you searched that thing. So what they've been able to use your behavior on your phone, when you
all those
go to
cookies that you,
all those
that
cookies,
you agree to.
Those are the components of big data. Tracking customers' behavior, tracking citizens' behavior for the purpose of pushing products that you may want or you may like to use so that you can then make informed decisions. So businesses have been using this to actually impact their results. So government need to also look at that direction for the purpose of impacting the people. We see a lot of manifestos going out here, from one party to other. So the big question is, what are the things driving these manifestos? Are we looking at critical impact? Did you have insight from data that says that these are the critical aspects of the economy that we should be looking at? Or you are just all about bringing up a very big document that speaks to nothing and speaks to impact for the people? And that's the way we need to begin to look at setting economic policy going on.
Yeah, that kind of brings to my mind some of these big corporates, all these products that have done very well on the international scene. They actually do have departments that focus on just gathering customers' data, their trend, their demands,
the behavior.
Their behavior.
Yep.
And that is what informs their next products or the next feature they add to their products. But I don't think as a country, as you noted, I don't think I've seen that in any of our politicians' manifestos. I don't, like just studying the age group. We have the Jackpot Challenge now.
The generation.
Who are those left? What are their tastes? What do they want to do? What can they do? What knowledge do they have? What do they lack? You know, I don't think I saw that. I said that intentional, you know,
effort
to get that information and put it in the manifesto. I don't think I see yet.
You will agree with me that if you look at developed nations, you cannot disintegrate their development from big data insight. You know, you will see government arms having a big research institute for the purpose of processing their people's behavior. Look at the example in Singapore. Singapore today happens to be the smartest city, the most efficient economy, and they are able to project into even 2030, 2050 their internet infrastructure because they have been able to track their people's behavior and identify the critical aspect of their economy. Look at ministries. So look at Nigeria, for example. I look at what happened, the flooding issue. How did we use big data to respond for impact? You know, people have mobile phones. You can know the number of people that are still tracked by their location. You can know the number of people that need emergency response. You know, those are the things that actually makes for, look at the healthcare sector in Nigeria, for example. Beyond just saying, writing in your manifesto that I want to build additional institution, I want to bring this infrastructure, look at the human resources gap. So big data will churn out a fact that there needs to be an acceleration program to close the skill gap. You know, when you go to the hospital today, you are also afraid for yourself, am I speaking to the right person? You know, those are the things that big data will churn out for you real time and then say, in developing my manifesto, even when you get into government, implementing your manifesto, you have to put in place infrastructure that begins to track the data of what you are implementing for impact. Because if you look at it, okay, I have an objective to achieve this. If I don't track it, am I really achieving it? So Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has been tracking some data, and let's give them, you know, a good credit. In fact, as of today, that is one of the most reliable, you know, institutes of government that you can rely on their output. But beyond what they are doing, significant investment has to be made in tracking data, even at the ministry level, at the department and agencies level, such that if you integrate all this data in AI architecture, you know, you can get insights as government to critically impact your people for revolt and won't be having that expectation gap any longer.
All right, Emmanuel Onasami. Well, we're expecting there to be census early next year. Maybe that's one data that we can work with. We do hope that it is free of all those political sentiment. Most of the time, when we do census or we have data coming up from government or anything, there's also that political sentiment, oh, it's skewed to favor this and favor that, you know. And
and beyond just doing census, if I can just finally say this, you know, beyond just doing census traditionally, you know, you have to do census, you know, future forward thinking, going forward. Before we track age, we track demography, there are additional information that we need to track now as government if we want to develop policy that will truly impact our people.
All right. I would have loved to ask you that, but we're really out of time. Lead partner, Cardinal Professional Services, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much,
Big data is the future, so obviously we still have a whole lot more conversations to have.
Thank you very much, Ine, for
all right. That was big data. And now, next we'll be talking about opportunities. You want to make money? Well, you might have that opportunity. After this break, do join us again. This is Business Morning on Channels Television.